Welcome to the Epic Company Culture Podcast, where your host, Josh Sweeney, will give you, the business leaders, HR professionals, and company culture aficionados, the knowledge you need to take your company culture to the next level.
Hello, and welcome to the Epic Company Culture Podcast. Before I get started, I would like to thank Prototype Prime for this amazing podcast space. Today's series is part of the Culture Champions, and we have Culture Champion Ed Wood from Dispersive Networks in today. Ed, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and Dispersive.
Sure. I've been in the communications industry my whole career. 23 years with Accenture. I was a managing director responsible for carrier transformation, service provider space, and I worked with Dispersive for about 2 years as a partner, helping them with market positioning, developing their value proposition, sales strategy, and they gave me offered the opportunity to become the CEO, and it was a fairly easy decision because I really believe that Dispersive has one of the most disruptive technologies that I've ever worked with that will change how internet communications will work in a secure fashion.
So we're going to step back. I know you mentioned Accenture. You probably worked at some other places.
Yeah.
So while you're working in Dispersive and you're looking at what you want to do with the company culture, how you want to formulate the teams and the people, what are some experiences that you had in your past that you really wanted to carry over into this organization?
Yeah, well, I mean, Accenture has a tremendous culture. It's evolved. I mean, when I started, it was 30,000 people. When I left, it was 460,000, right? So they've gone through a lot of change. But somehow they've been able to maintain sort of a core culture around innovation and what I call high performance. You saw it in some of our advertising over the years. But to me, it's a culture of high degree of collaboration, very curious. A bit of a work hard, play hard, solving major customer problems, being very empathetic of the customer. But the collaboration was key, right? Bringing a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different, being very inclusive of a diverse set of cultures and bringing those together. And you can't get to 460,000 people without having to bring in a lot of different cultures, experience hires, those types of things that that really, being able to harness that power is really a high performance, culture to me.
So with that growth, you mentioned some of the things that were maintained through the growth. What were some of the things that you felt were lost or kind of dropped off?
Yeah. Well, and it's not even so much what was lost or dropped off within Accenture. To me, within Accenture, it was an evolution, right? Going from a small organization to such a large organization with a lot of different cultures being integrated, it just changed. I don't think it was not necessarily bad, or it was just it evolved. But there was always focus on innovation, always focus on collaboration, always focus on bringing the best to address customer problems, and that's always been the case, right? But what I've seen is in 23 years working at different clients, I've seen a lot of different cultures, and I've seen what works well and what doesn't. And a lot of big companies, a lot of big corporations, they lose a lot, right? They lose the innovation angle. They lose the collaboration. They don't put the energy in training their people. And I've seen that at a lot of different types of clients, right? And so Accenture did a really great job of always reinforcing those pieces and focusing on high performance, because at the end of the day, I mean, the amount of money to recruit new people, new talent, integrating them into the company and training them is so much higher versus investing in the team that you have.
Yeah, definitely. So which aspects of that culture have you brought into Dispersive?
Yeah, so we're a fairly small organization. We were about 66 people when I joined. We're now at about 80. So we're going to be scaling. I mean, it's quite a bit of growth already in just a couple of months. And that's going to continue to scale quickly, and we're going to need to bring in senior talent into the organization that have experience in selling and marketing and delivering solutions. And so, part of it is just the integration of the culture, a heavy focus on inclusion and diversity. Mm-hmm. As you can imagine, as an engineering company, predominantly in the past, it's a very engineering-centric type of group, right? Of individuals, right? So how do we be very inclusive of all those different types of skill sets, right, and backgrounds? Really driving home the collaboration, right, within the organization to really kind of bring out the best in us, right, in terms of product lifecycle management, how we develop our partners, our partnerships. And so collaboration, communication. I have a weekly email that I send out to my entire employees every week so that everybody knows what we're working on. Everybody knows what the priorities are. And that's really important, just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page and we're all kind of pulling in the same direction. And really, and I've told my team this, I've told the entire employee base that I want to measure us now and I want to measure us at the end of the year through employee engagement. Mm-hmm. And my hope and my goal is that employees will be out there proactively talking about what a high performance team we are, that it's a great place to work, we're very inclusive, that we're collaborative, that when we got new people that are joining the company, everybody helps them out, right? And we're all working together towards our end game, which is that mission of securing critical communications.
Yeah, so you're really trying to take that high-performing team piece, implant it in or maintain it at the organization that you're in, and ensure that all the new people that come on board keep that consistency then. Yeah,
that's right. And, and Dispersive themselves has a great culture and a great value that they believe in as an organization. It's a very family-focused, just a great employee base. So it's important that we retain that part of the culture as well while we're bringing in these new skills.
Yeah, well, you mentioned diversity. I mean, that's obviously a very hot topic in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that there's, with all the new programs that are out there, that it's much easier to build a really good, solid, diverse team? Because when I look at all the facilities, 10 years ago, maybe, I don't know when Women Who Code was founded or anything, but about a decade ago, it was challenging. It was challenging to find the people. Yeah. Now there's so many programs that it seems like it would make it easier. Are you finding that?
I think so. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but it comes in many ways, right? Yeah. Certainly engineering, it is a challenge, and we actually want to take a much more active role with the local community and the local universities to help promote STEM and technology within the different workforces. But we're building our organization in a lot of different areas as well. And so yes, I do think it's much easier to have a more diverse organization. I think it's important because diversity creates strength, because we're coming with different points of views. Right, and that's important for a high-performance team.
Yeah, so we talked about all the great things at Accenture that you experienced and some of the items you're bringing over to Dispersive Networks. Yep. What about a share that was something you don't want to bring over, something you experienced, and it may have been pre-Accenture, it may have been something you observed in another company. Again, I like to remind everybody we don't have to name names. Yeah. But what are some things you've experienced or been through or seen where you're like, that's a part of culture I don't want? That was, that's a negative.
I think, one is getting too big too fast, where we become so focused on sort of the day-to-day grind. We get so just ingrained in that we lose that communication, collaboration, that innovation, where we're focusing just purely on the sales and revenue kind of targets, and we're not kind of staying ahead of the market and being competitive. Like I said before, you see kind of companies that kind of lose their way, right? Yeah. They lose their focus. So, I think that's probably what I would say is what I want to make sure we avoid, is just staying true to our roots and what we do, right? I would say, we want to compete aggressively. We want to be fair, right? We don't want a cutthroat type of mentality and environment. You can see a lot of organizations that are growing fast from a sales perspective go down that path, and that's not a path we want to go down.
Yeah, I think we've seen a few in the news recently, right, which they accomplished grand things from a scaling perspective, but it cost something, it cost them somewhere.
Yeah, bodies on the ground, exactly. Yeah. And then, a point that I wanted to mention before, as I was thinking about this discussion, is we really do want to get more tightly integrated into the technology community in Atlanta, right? So we're out in Alpharetta, which can be a little bit far away from what's happening in Buckhead and Midtown and out here, right? We're from a startup community perspective. So we're getting plugged into Atlanta Tech Village. We're going to participating in the meetups, not only for visibility of our technology, but also for us to be able to contribute back to other startups that are just getting off the ground, because we have a lot of gray hair in the leadership team here and a lot of experience from all of our years, from various companies, and we think we can we can give back. So we're excited about that
and
as
you,
well.
if I remember correctly, you have Tech Alpharetta, right? So you have some other startups or not startups, but like incubators and co-working spaces that are popping up in Alpharetta that are really
I think so.
trying to bring that out.
Yeah.
I think it's Tech Alpharetta is the name of it.
Yeah, I live in Buckhead, so
Okay.
I always get lost in Alpharetta. But
there's a lot happening there.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true.
Awesome. Well, so for Dispersive, what is something you haven't talked about that you really love about the company culture? Is there one thing where you go into the office and you just really enjoy that something happens or that the team takes care of something? Like, what is an aspect of company culture right now that you enjoy?
I started to touch on this, but
Okay.
I'll reinforce it. Everyone is focused on a common mission.
Okay.
I mean, we're working on a technology that is just unbelievably secure, that's used in special forces. It saves lives today. That we're applying to all critical communications, financial services, the power industry. We've got a major program that we're focusing on that, with the intent of securing all critical communications for the power grid in North America. And it's so we're all very passionate about it. We feel very strongly about it, not just for success for our company, but that it's important for our country, for democracy, right? All this stuff that you hear about on the news. Everyone is focused on that mission. Everyone's passionate about it. Our retention is super low in terms of our loss rate, right? I mean, very few employees leave because they believe in that mission. Through all the ups and downs of a startup, right, and all the bumps that any startup has gone through, we've gone through the same thing, and they're still there because they believe in the mission. And it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of bumps in the road in doing a startup and growing.
Yep.
A lot of decisions that have to be made and directional changes and things like that. So
That's right.
It's good to hear that everybody's on board for the mission.
Yep, and I think we've got a very clear scope in terms of what we're focusing on. I think it's the messages are resonating in the marketplace, and everyone's excited because that's happening, right? And so now we just have to execute.
Yeah, well, sounds like an amazing technology for you to be going after. I mean, security and the whole security industry has just been exploding, and I spent a lot of my corporate years in information security.
Yep.
It's a fun space.
It is. It's fun, and it's also high stakes, right? I mean, we're trying to solve some really big issues, and so it's great to have a team that's sticking to it and concerned about the same things, right?
So last question,
Sure.
What company culture initiative or what area of growth would you like to see in the organization from a people and culture perspective in 2019?
Well, funny you mentioned that. We are rolling out a performance management process. We've already drafted it. We're going to be rolling it out. We're putting a mentoring program in place that's cross-functional. So, let's say our sales lead may have a mentor that's in research and development, right, or other areas. And the whole idea is to improve collaboration and communication in things that may not be as obvious, right? That's cross. That way it kind of breaks down any remaining communication barriers that we may have will be resolved through that, because we're now doing it top down, left to right, crossways. So we're doing that. We're rolling out a performance management process. The intent there is that we have a consistent and fair, equitable way for assessing the entire employee team, and then tying it to merit and performance pay, right? So we've got a consultant that's helping us out, kind of working out the final details. We'll roll it out, have formal review processes. And so I'm excited about that because, before it was kind of ad hoc, right? Yeah. And now we'll be able to really, start to establish this.
Yeah, so the performance review process and then the mentoring program. Mm-hmm. And I think the unique about the mentoring program is that it's cross-departmental, right? And that's a big factor in helping everybody work together, because there's lots of challenges challenges and barriers that can be broken down by two completely different skill sets coming together for a challenge.
It's, to me, adjacent skills, people that are coming from two different points of view is the best type of relationship. And it's also out of the supervisory role, right? So if an employee has an issue that it's like, hey, I need your advice, what should I do? You can have that confident discussion, right, on how to address that and work through it.
Yeah, well, this has been a fantastic session. I appreciate all the information you've provided.
Sure, absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you for joining us on the Epic Company Culture Podcast. This has been part of our Culture Champions series with Ed Wood of Dispersive Networks. If you want to find out more, go to YouTube, check out our YouTube channel, leave comments or questions. You can also follow us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Epic Company Culture Podcast with Josh Sweeney. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. For additional content and transcripts, visit epicculture.co. If you have questions or topics you would like us to address or expand on, tweet us at epicculture1 or email at podcast@epicculture.co.